Welcome back to Mostly a Paint Job. This is your host, JSPOT, and I'm here to show off a little bit of what I've been customizing lately. This one is definitely mostly a paint job. Here is Ken Masters, ooh, wobble wobble, from the Street Fighter universe. I have him mounted up right now on a little thing so he can do the good old Shoryuken pose. Shoryuken time! Ken here has very, very limited customizations outside of the paint job itself. Notice these hands are a little bigger and thicker than your usual Gundam hands. These are the Goof hands from the high-grade Universal Century Goof. Now, that being said, the model that is here is the RX-78-2 Beyond Global, and they have a slightly off-sized wrist here. The little port that picks up the wrist connector is slightly more narrow than your regular HG, but not narrow enough to be an RG. So I had to bore it out a little bit because the Goof hands are extra big. They're big old balls there. The Goof got some big old balls in his wrist. So anyways, let's get into a different position here. And as you can see, Ken Masters is mostly a paint job. Let's go over the paints we have as we look at him here in his, something that resembles his fighting stance. His idle stance. Yeah, there we go. So first off with his gi, his classic red. I just used red rum. This Turbo Dork color is one I keep coming back to. I just really like the way it looks. It goes on a little iffy, but in the end, as you can tell, it's very, very solid red. I like it a lot. On camera, it looks a lot darker than it actually is, but still really nice. It kind of shifts between a really dark and a really bright red, so it's hard to explain here. I guess you can kind of see there in his leg that's kind of standing forward. Some of the panels are pretty bright. It's not because it's a solid metallic, it's just because that's how the shifting works, and I guess with this light it's making it a lot darker than it really is. Either way, moving on. The next color is his glove. His glove I used Death by right there from Turbo Dork. I keep wanting to say Death by Chocolate because that's what they're hinting at. Turbo Dork does a pretty good job naming all their different paints to kind of give you an idea of what they're going for. They're having a little fun. I like it. They're dorks. I'm a dork. Look like a bunch of dorks. Lastly, his hair was done with Pucker and Gold Rush. I mixed those together at about 50-50, and I did that for his hair here. You can see I kind of went for, I was trying to go for like a blonde of someone who's outdoors a bunch, so I didn't want it to be bright yellow. But since I like to keep kind of the mecha look, I did make the V-fin and the little visor that's attached to the V-fin just straight pucker, right? I did want it to stand out pretty hard. I can't say lastly, because I totally did his belt with black ice here. I forgot to mention his belt. His belt I did make out of claw plate. So not the greatest little belt, but I think it works for this application here, and it looks all right when he's posed up. And I have him mounted in that Shoryuken pose. I think he looks good. So there's not too much else to say about Ken other than, hey, he is mostly a paint job. Shoryuken time, everybody! Shoryuken time! Man, I miss Ono-san.